Have you ever had an epiphany? An aha moment that makes you completely rethink your entire professional purpose? About 6 years into my career as a high school history teacher, a student with whom I had a great relationship stopped me mid-lesson to ask, why do we need to know all this stuff? And I gave him my stock history teacher answer. Well, if you want to be a productive member of society, there are certain things you ought to know. And he looked at me like he knew I was full of it and said, yeah, I'm not going to use any of this in the real world. That was a tough thing to hear as a young teacher, especially out of the mouth of a great student who always seemed pretty engaged in my lessons. He was right. Everything I had taught up until that point had been worthless. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic. That exchange forced me to reflect on what I was doing with my life. I mean, it made sense for a history teacher like me to know all these trivial facts about the past. What good is that knowledge if I'm not teaching young people how to apply it to solve real problems? That epiphany all those years ago set me on the trajectory to becoming a more innovative teacher. And any recognition I have ever earned has not been given because I attempt to cram information into student brains. It's because together we engage with content in order to inspire great ideas. This is not an easy task. Kids come to me in high school often devoid of wonder and frankly pretty exhausted by schooling. They don't want to ask what-if questions. They just want me to give them all the answers. In my nightmares, I'm haunted by a single sentence that sends chills up my spine every time I hear it. Is this going to be graded? I spend a lot of time rebuilding confidence in my students, essentially restoring them to their original factory settings because children are innately curious, and this obsession with being right all the time and being graded accordingly are learned behaviors that they've picked up somewhere along the way. Where did the wonder go? And at what point does it go dormant? Well, I went on a quest to find out, and I did a lot of research, and I stumbled upon a study by Panorama Education that surveyed 40 million middle and high school-aged students from 2021 to 2024. The data show middle school is where young people not only lose their sense of belonging, but their engagement with learning also reduces. We've turned middle school into this miniature high school experience, complete with the pressure to perform academically, athletically, socially. It should be a time when kids can ask what-if questions and try to figure out who they want to be as people. On paper, middle school looks like this perfect opportunity to move from elementary school to high school. So how on earth did we manage to turn it into a place that causes academic burnout at such a young age? Well, middle school is this way because we, the parents, the community, the society, we allow and we encourage this mini high school model, including pushing 7th and 8th graders to take high school classes. A survey conducted by Youth Truth asked 250,000 middle schoolers about anxiety and found that 50% of them experience anxiety that impacts their ability to learn. Despite this research and the work of others like Jonathan Haidt, author of The Anxious Generation, that show kids need more time to be kids and less time developing anxiety over their futures, we continue to mandate standardized testing, Push for more specialty middle schools. Demand more challenging coursework. It doesn't have to be this way. In other places in the world, from Europe to Latin America to Ghana, where I spent time as a Fulbright teaching scholar, middle school goes through grade 9, and the curriculum better aligns with the developmental needs of kids at that age. We see that curriculum emulated here in the States in elite education models like Montessori's Erd-Kinder or expensive outdoor boarding schools. Kids in these programs spend a large portion of their day outside, engaging not only in play to burn off that pubescent energy so they can actually focus on their studies, but in projects and activities that build stewardship and have a positive impact on their community. The current public school model has most of our kids sitting in classrooms structured the same way they were in the 1950s, even though the world outside is on fire. This juxtaposition between the real world and the classroom can cause frustration in our very socially aware young people. Adolescents care deeply about the world, and they have the capability to tap into a less jaded brand of curiosity that, no cap. If we let them lock in, we can watch them cook as they generate amazing ideas and find solutions that can have lasting impact. When I think about my students and what it is that we could do differently for them, I think about how now is the time to really address this issue. Wealthy folks seek out this kind of education for their kids. So let's let public school kids have an opportunity to have these same experiences. Let's expand these outdoor education programs to more public schools, and not just the ones that require high test scores to access. Let's ask, bruh, what do you care about? And like low-key, how do you want to learn? Let's give them a voice, an actual voice in this decision. It's time to reimagine middle schooling in this country, especially now, post-COVID, when more people acknowledge the need for change. Let's envision how advocating for this type of schooling would bring amazing opportunities to our young people, especially our most vulnerable who need an emotional and physical outlet to cope with trauma and who tend not to thrive in environments where they're forced to sit inside at desks all day. Teachers, and I include myself in this reminder, let them play. When I take my kids outside for walks, with no phones, including my own, are allowed, we interact on a human level as we talk about anything and everything that could be possible. Kids have the capacity to be explosively creative when granted the opportunity to ruminate in boredom. Give them that time. A simple step would be advocating at the school level to mandate that middle schoolers spend less time in front of technology, including locking away their personal devices, and actually have daily recess. More field trips, more opportunities for outdoor learning, more student-driven community projects. Community partners, whether you have kids in school or not, it is our responsibility as participants in this democracy to advocate for quality public education. Let's push our school systems to shift middle school back to grades 7 through 9 and to ensure the curriculum aligns with the developmental plane. Let's lobby our government to put a limit on how many high school credits a middle schooler can earn, halting the push to adultify our kids. We need to advocate for this missing middle. Our middle schoolers who are at a critical point in their learning and their development. Let's together engage with our leaders and our policymakers to reimagine the purpose of middle schooling in this country. I know, we all have challenges that we want to address in the education system. And fighting for our middle schoolers is a tangible and impactful place to begin.